All right, so my name's Andrew from Little Leaf. As some of you know, as most of you probably don't, I just want to give a shout out. Say, hey, I'm sure I don't look great right now. I don't have the gimbal. I don't care. You know why? Because this is my second job, you know? Sometimes you just got to do what you got to do. So, what I'm doing today is I am um, gaming out, mapping out the wiring system for the new rack. So as you can see, we've got all the fans wired up. We've got lights wired up. We're actually testing a new light. These are the Barina yellow tinted full spectrum grow lights. We really like the blurple ones, which are all the lower shelves. But we're trying out these for some other microgreens, some of the stuff that grows longer, some of the stuff that takes longer to grow. If you look into research, really you don't need anything. The blurples actually put out more of a spectrum than you actually need for microgreens. Someone was arguing with me in the comments section of another video about the blurple lights. Look, NASA did a ton of research on this. When something's the size of a microgreen and only grows for 7 to 14 days under light, you don't need green and yellow spectrums. Those are needed when you have thick, lush canopies where the light has to filter down through multiple layers of leaves and flowers to get to the rest of the plant. It actually turns into red and blue spectrum light as it travels down through the mass. Kind of like how you get purple sunsets because the yellow and red lights shining through, so it changes spectrum, all that stuff. There's a much better way to explain this than how I'm explaining it. But anyway, we've been using the blurple lights because after doing a ton of research, these are the cheapest, best way to get the spectrum you need without spending money running electricity. Like these produce all this light that the microgreens don't actually use. But my thinking is that it's possible that some of the stuff that takes longer to grow could benefit from having the fuller spectrum light. I don't know. We'll see. There's a lot of research out there. I could point you to a million white papers done by NASA and other research institutes. But anyway, so we have blurple and the white full spectrum on here. There's the Botanicare flood tables that we're going to install. I have to wire up the valves still. But I just want to show the wiring stuff for the valves. So one thing that we're using for this is these little quick connectors that are just pinch-ons. Come on, focus. Doesn't want to fully focus, but they're quick disconnects at the valve end. So in case we need to replace a valve or disconnect the rack from the power system and roll it out of the way for whatever reason, we can now disconnect these quickly at the source. I'm actually going to do that to the other rack that we have set up like this. And then there's what they look like when they're not hooked up. You pop the wires in there, you crimp it shut, puts a piece of heat shrink on the end of it right there, and they come out looking really nice. They're really good connectors. And then down here, like I said, I'm mapping out the wiring. This time I'm doing it much better than the first time. So we've got the Sonoff 4-channel Pro. Come on, focus. 4-channel Pro. This device uses either 9 to 12 volt or 24 volt DC in for power, or no, it has to have that for power, and then you can run AC into it. If you want to use 24 volt to 9 volt DC power, you have to jumper it. So last time when I jumpered it, I did like this whole jumper system from thing to thing. I'll show a video of it sometime. This time I'm using these, what are they, Dinky? I think the company's called Dinky. Really funny name. But anyway, they go on the DIN rail just like this does, and you can jumper them together, and it looks nice and clean. They just snap on there. If I can do it without looking, there we go. I have to look. So they snap on, and they get a really good tight connection. And then you have all these jumpers that bridge them. So you stick the jumper in, and you can jumper multiple slots. So you can put a ton of these in a row, so they can all share common power. So from the power supply, which is right here. Got a nice power supply from, what's this company? This company makes really good products. They're actually located, Meanwell, there it is. So, Meanwell, they're actually located, or their major distribution hub is located right in Doylestown, Pennsylvania, like, I don't know, 10 miles from here. Really good company. I actually bought this on Amazon, but getting it directly from them, you can get really good pricing, especially if you need to buy a bunch of them. Their support's great. They're just a great company. So we're using this Meanwell power supply. So the AC goes in the bottom, DC comes out the top. You can tune it so you get your exact voltage, which really, I mean, 12 volts, it varies. It's not exactly 12 volts, so your equipment can take a pretty wide range. But you can dial it in to get it perfect if you want to. Generally, you don't need to. This snaps onto the DIN rail too. And then you've got all your grounds are going into these things. All your positives are going into these things off of the power supply and then running into the sewn off. Rather than having to have all these jumper cables and stuff, you just have cables going straight in. Jumper cables are annoying. Anyway, that's a whole nother thing. So that's how it's basically going to be laid out. Power supply, negative, positive, running into the two sewn off units because we have 6 levels. So there's going to be 6 valves in that bad boy. The bottom level does not get a valve because that's too low to drain. And the top level is not hooked up yet. We actually extend the height of these racks. We put a little PVC up top to extend the height of the racks and get an extra level out of it to increase the floor space efficiency. So sorry for the mess. We've got multiple people's stuff down here in the basement. And I'm just using this as a work area. Usually I'd be working in the garage, but it's full of snow removal equipment and stuff. So anyway, that's it. I'll show you another video once this thing's all pre-wired and ready to go. And then we'll go over the valve setup too. All right, that's all. Peace.